What's up guys, Mark back here with yet another video, and on today's show, Sony has now overtaken Nikon in the camera market, which is just so weird to say. Yes, that's right, over the last several years have been number 1 Canon, number 2 Nikon, and number 3 Sony, and now Sony has now ripped the silver away from the Nikon giant. I put out a video last week talking about Samsung's fall from grace, where they made an official announcement that they were no longer going to be making cameras at all. A lot of us had already kind of predicted that stuff, but here's the thing. When I first switched over to Sony from Nikon, probably like 3 years ago, I was ridiculed, laughed at, told that I was a moron, that I was an idiot. There was, why would you get rid of your wonderfully robust and expensive and reliable camera for, a quote-unquote toy? You don't know how many times I heard that. Now, for some of you, you might have been around long enough to remember those videos and that same ridicule. There were a few of us out there that genuinely wanted to give other systems a try and give them a chance to prove themselves. The thing that I think really captures the imagination is that in that short amount of time, Sony has managed to topple one of the biggest names in the camera business for the last 50 years and now make them number 3. And if I'm not mistaken, it was about 2 weeks ago I also released a video talking about Nikon. And I will have all of these up here in the cards section on the right hand side of your screen. But essentially that video was me talking about how Nikon has genuinely fallen from grace because of their sort of odd release schedule. And when they do finally release stuff, it's just small, minute, kind of features every so often, and they expect you to dump another $2,000 for that kind of stuff. It's just not working anymore. Here's my prediction, and I'll just go ahead and do it again. Within the next year to 1 year and 6 months, you are going to see Sony not only take over Nikon, which they've already done, but they are also going to take over Canon, because Canon still has the same mindset they did when I made these predictions about Nikon 2 years ago. The biggest problem with these companies is that they have clung to an old model that no longer works anymore. So if Canon doesn't start innovating, not just fast and not just quick, but I mean in a hurry, they are also going to lose their spot at number 1. I mean, Sony was already making Nikon sensors to begin with, and with Canon, I mean, basically doing very little or nothing as far as their midline style cameras, their prosumer line cameras, and their entry-level cameras. There are just too many other better options out there. I mean, cell phones have 4K. Canon needs to get their poop in a group if they want to remain relevant. And here are my basic thoughts on photography in general. Photography has done what many other industries have done, is they have, the industry of photography has merged into a technology. Photography is not just about capturing an image, taking a picture, it's also about a user experience. When we interact with our phones, I mean, phones are no longer phones anymore. It is an experience. You can do a lot of things with your phone now. And in today's market, you also want to be able to do a lot of things with your camera. And that means slow motion, that means we want high dynamic range, that means we want touchscreens, that means we want dual card slides, that means we want to have all of these abilities. We don't want 5 different camera systems, one for each job. Every last one of us, whether we like to admit it or not, we are all looking for that perfect camera. Look, I feel sorry for Panasonic because they have a great camera. They have an amazing camera. It does a lot of stuff, but for the vast majority of the people that were looking at that camera, the one thing that they absolutely positively wanted it to do, because that was the reason they migrated to Sony, was that autofocus. And because they did not deliver, there are going to be lots of people sending that camera back or giving it a shot, and then, the professionals are not going to have that big of an issue. Most of them are acclimated to manual focus. They do it all the time. Let's be real. Most people do not manual focus their lenses. Almost 98%, guaranteed, 98% of the people on the planet do not manually focus their lens. And of that same 98%, almost, I'm gonna guess, about 50% do some form of social video making, okay? And they want / need / desire their camera manufacturer to actually have good autofocus. That's the reason Canon has remained relevant up until this point. Also, Casey Neistat's video helped them out quite a bit by saying that the 70D was the best camera on the market for vlogging. When Casey made the switch over to Sony, that gave Sony a huge boost in the numbers. Sony's rise to fame has largely been because of the Sony a7R Mark II. To this very day, still a better DxOMark score than just about every other camera from every other manufacturer, including Phase 1. And I think that that is large and in part to do with the fact that the resolution is very high, the image quality is very good, and that Sony is building not just photographic features into their cameras, but they're also building technological features into their cameras. Having Wi-Fi and NFC and all these connectivity things that really do work much better than, say, like Nikon SnapRidge, having 4K unlike Canon, having the ability to to just do so much more than just take pictures or to just take basic video. Panasonic really was on a pretty good run there with the GH5 as far as like almost having it all. There were, I mean, mountains of people that were literally about to sell their Sony gear because most people, even for fast moving objects, the micro four thirds sensor does have less rolling shutter. That's a big downfall of the Sony cameras. Also, it was going to eliminate a lot of the need to have external devices like external video recorders that had false color and focus peaking and all that kind of stuff. Having all that built into this one amazing video camera that could also take really amazing still images, it really was just on the cusp of becoming not just a fantastic camera for the pros, but also for the prosumer, the vlogger, the video maker, the wedding photographers, all of that. It was on its way to doing some really, really amazing things. Unfortunately, I just don't think that it's going to make the jump just yet. If they do happen to come out with a new camera very, very soon, I think that they will probably begin to nudge out Nikon potentially in the number 3 spot. And more people are picking up Panasonic. I was almost one of them. The market moving and shifting the way that it is, you have to ask yourself, what is Sony doing that people are listening to? What is it they're doing that people are responding to? And to make it really simple and plain for me, they're just giving me what I'm asking for. Except for a touchscreen, except for a bigger battery, except for the overheating issues, and an articulating screen. Other than that, Sony's giving me just about everything. Alright, so that's all I've got for you guys today. If you happen to enjoy the content, don't forget to thumbs it up, subscribe to the channel. If you liked it, really liked it, head on over to my Patreon page, maybe chip in $1 or $2. It totally helps me out. As we all know, YouTube's ad revenue is just the balls right now. Also, if you would prefer to get something out of the deal, head on over to my t-shirt shop, pick up something that shows off the fact that you absolutely love photography. So anyway, guys, thanks again for stopping here at the Photo Video Show. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I'll see you guys again on the next one. Peace.